Dandava Pranams, good morning to everyone. We are here at the Sri Chaitanya Saraswatī Math, West London, and we are going to continue the reading of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. We are in Madhya-līlā, chapter 6, the liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Sri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki jai, Srila Kṛṣṇadāsa Kavirāja Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai, Srila Bhakti Swami Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Giridhar ki jai, Jai, Jai Srila Gurudev ki jai. So you remember what verse we were left?
Verse
145?
Yes.
Yes. Texts 145 and 146. Bhagavan bahu haite yave kaila mana, prakrita saktite tave kaila vilokana, sekale nahi yanme prakrita mano nayana, ataiva prakrita brahmera netra mana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead wishes to become many, he glanced over the material energy. Before the creation, there were no mundane eyes or mind. Therefore, the transcendental nature of the Absolute Truth's mind and eyes is confirmed. Purport. In the Chandogya Upanishad, it is said that Aiksata Bahu Syam Prayajeya. This verse confirms the fact that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead wishes to become many, the cosmic manifestation arises simply by his glancing over material energy. It may be noted that the Supreme Lord glanced over the material nature before the creation of this cosmic manifestation. Before the creation, there were no material minds or material eyes. Therefore, the mind by which the Supreme Personality of Godhead desired to create is transcendental, and the eyes with which he glanced over material nature are also transcendental. Thus, the Lord's mind, eyes, and other senses are all transcendental. Maybe you can give some darshan of the Lord until he comes to do the reading. Text 147. Brahma sapte kohe purna swayam Bhagavan Krishna sastrera pramana. So, since Mahaprabhu is speaking, he's going to give darshan now. The word Brahman indicates the complete Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Krishna, who is Sri Krishna. That is the verdict of all Vedic literature. Purport. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, where the Lord says, Vedaischa sarvair aham eva vedya. The ultimate object in all Vedic literature is Krishna. Everyone is searching for him. This is also confirmed everywhere elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam janmanam ante gyanavan mam papadyate. Vasudeva sarva iti sa mahatma sudurlava. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Bhagavad Gita 7.19. When one has actually become wise through the Vedic study of Vedic literature, he surrenders unto Vasudeva, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. This is also confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.78. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prajo Jita Janyati Asu Vairagyam Gyanam Shada Ahaitukam Dharma Swanustita Purmsam Vivaksena Katasuja Not da yadi ratim srama eva hi kevalam. Understanding Vasudev is real knowledge. By engaging in the devotional service of Vasudev, Krishna, one acquires perfect knowledge and Vedic understanding. Thus, one becomes detached from the material world. This is the perfection of human life. Although one may perfectly follow religious rituals and ceremonies, he is simply wasting his time. Srama eva hi kevalam. If he does not attain his perfection. Before the creation of the cosmic manifestation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead possessed his totally transcendental mind and eyes. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. A person may think that there is no direct statement about Krishna in the Upanishads, but the fact is that the Vedic mantras cannot be understood by people with mundane senses. As stated in the Padma Purana, Ata Sri Krishna Namadi Na Bhavet Grahyam Indriyai, a person with mundane senses cannot fully understand the name, qualities, form, and pastimes of Sri Krishna. The Puranas are therefore meant to explain and supplement Vedic knowledge. The great sages present the Puranas in order to make the Vedic mantras understandable for common men. Stri Sudra Dvija Bandunam. Considering that women, Sudras and Dvija Bandhus, unworthy sons of the twice born, cannot understand the Vedic hymns directly, Srila Vyasadeva compiled Mahabharata. Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Vedeshu Durlabham, untraceable in the Vedas. But when the Vedas are properly understood, or when Vedic knowledge is received from devotees, one can understand that all Vedic knowledge leads to Sri Krishna. The Brahma Sutra 1.1.3 confirms this fact also, Shastra Yonit Vat. Commenting upon this Brahma Sutra code, Shastra Yonit Vat, Srimad Acharya says, the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, Mahabharata, Pancharatra, and the original Valmiki Ramayana are all Vedic literature. Any literature following the conclusive statements of this Vedic literature is also to be considered Vedic literature. That literature which does not conform to Vedic literature is simply misleading. Therefore, when reading Vedic literature, we must take the path traversed by great acharyas. Mahayano yena gata sapanta. Unless one follows the path traversed by great acharyas, he cannot understand the real purport of the Vedas. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giridhar Yu Ki Jai. Text 148. Vedera Nigudha Arta Bhujana Nahaya Purana Bhakyasei Arta Karaya Nishchaya. The confidential meaning of the Vedas is not easily understood by common men. Therefore, that meaning is supplemented by the words of the Puranas. Aho Bhagyam, Aho Bhagyam, Nandagopa Brajau Kasham, Janmitram Paramanandam, Purnam Brahma Sanatanam. How greatly fortunate are Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd men, and all the inhabitants of Brajabhumi. There is no limit to their fortune because the absolute truth, the source of transcendental bliss, the eternal supreme Brahman, has become their friend. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.32, spoken by Lord Brahma. Apani pada sruti varye prakrita pani charana punakahe shigra chole kore sarva grahana The Vedic Apanipada mantra rejects material hands and legs, yet it states that the Lord goes very fast and accepts everything offered to him. Ataeva Sruti Kohe Brahma Sabi Sesha Mukhya Chodi Lakshanate Mane Nirvishesha. All these mantras confirm that the absolute truth is personal, but the Mayavadis, throwing away the direct meaning, interpret the absolute truth as impersonal. According to the purport, according to the Śvētasvatara Upanishad 3.19, Apani Pado Yavano Grahita Pasyati Achakshu Sa Srinoti Akarna Saveti Vedyam Nacha Tashyasti Beta Tamahur Agriam Purusham Mahantam. The Vedic mantra clearly states Purusham Mahantam. The word Purusha means person. That person is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita by Arjuna when he addresses Krishna, Purusham Sasvatam. You are the original person. This is Bhagavad Gita 10.12. This Purusham Mahantam is Sri Krishna. His hands and legs are not mundane, but are completely transcendental. However, when he comes, fools takes him to be an ordinary person. Avagyanti mam mudha manusyam tanum ashritam. One who has no Vedic knowledge, who has not studied the Vedas from the bona fide spiritual master, does not know Krishna. Therefore he is a mudha. Such fools take Krishna to be an ordinary person, param bhavam agyananta. They do not actually know what Krishna is. Manusyanam sahasresu kashit yatati siddhaye. It is not possible to understand Krishna simply by studying the Vedas perfectly. One must have the mercy of a devotee, Yat Padam. Unless one is favored by a devotee, he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Arjuna also confirms this in Bhagavad Gita. My Lord, it is very difficult to understand your personality. The less intelligent class of men cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead without being favored by his devotee. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita contains another injunction, Bhagavad Gita point 34. You know that verse? The next one coming up. Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master and surrender to him. Only then can one understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a person. Sad Aisvarya Punananda Vigraha Janhara Hena Bhagavane Tumikohe Nirakara. Are you describing as formless that Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose transcendental form is complete with 6 transcendental opulences? So the Lord is here talking to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Purport. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead is formless, how can he be said to walk very fast and accept everything offered to him? Rejecting the direct meaning of the Vedic mantras, the Mayavadi philosopher interpret them and try to establish the absolute truth as formless. Actually, the Supreme Lord has an eternal personal form full of all opulence. The Mayavadi philosophers try to interpret the absolute truth as being without potency. However, in the Śvētasvatara Upanishad, it is clearly said, Parasya Saktir Vividaiva Sujate The Absolute Truth has multi-potencies. Swabhavika tina sakti sei brahme haya nisatika koritanre karaha nishchaya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has 3 primary potencies. Are you trying to ascertain that he has no potencies? Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now quotes 4 verses from the Vishnu Purana to explain the different potencies of the Lord. Vishnu Sakti Para Pokta Kshetra Gyanakya Tata Para Avidya Karma Samjnanya Tritiya Saktir Ishyate. The internal potency of the Supreme Lord Vishnu is spiritual, as verified by the Shastras. There is another spiritual potency known as Kshetra Gya, or the living entity. The third potency, which is known as nescience, makes the living entity godless and fills him with fruitive activity. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, in Sri Krishna's discourse on the Kshetra and the Kshetra Gya, it is clearly stated that the Kshetra Gya is the living entity who knows his field of activities. The living entities in the material world are forgetful of the eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This forgetfulness is called avidya, or nescience. The avidya Shakti, the avidya potency of the material world, provokes fruitive activity. Although this avidya Shakti, material energy or nescience, is also an energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is especially intended to keep the living entities in a state of forgetfulness. This is due to their rebellious attitude towards the Lord. Thus, although the living entities are constitutionally spiritual, they come under the influence of the potency of nescience. How this happens is described in the following verse. Yaya Kshetra Gya Saktisha Vestita Niripa Sarvaga Sansara Tapan Akilan Abapnoti Atra Santatan. O King, the Kshetra Gya Sakti is the living entity. Although he has the facility to live in either the material or spiritual world, he suffers the threefold miseries of material existence because he is influenced by the avidya nescience potency, which covers his constitutional position. Tayati rohitat vakcha sakti kshetragya samnita sarvabhuteso bhupala taratami jena vartate. This living entity covered by the influence of nescience exists in different forms in the material condition. O King, he is thus proportionately free from the influence of material energy to greater or lesser degrees. Purport. The material energy acts on the living entity in different degrees according to how he acquires the association of the 3 modes of material nature. There are 8,400,000 species of life, some inferior, some superior, and some mediocre. The gradation of the bodies are calculated according to the coverings of material energy. In the lower categories, including aquatics, trees, plants, insects, birds, and so forth, spiritual consciousness is almost non-existent. In the mediocre category, the human form of life, spiritual consciousness is comparatively awakened. In the superior life forms, spiritual consciousness is fully awakened. Then the living entity understands his real position and tries to escape the influence of material energy by developing Krishna consciousness. Maybe we should stop here for today, and we continue tomorrow with text 157 of the Madhya-līlā, chapter 6, the liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Jai Shri Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki Jai, Srila Kṛṣṇadāsa Kavirāja Gosvāmī Prabhu ki Jai, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. And I'm going to just read a little excerpt from this book by Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj, The Divine Servitor. I recently shared this beautiful excerpt from the chapter Surrender and Serve. So it's a reminder for us, a meditation, to apply this into our daily practice, the daily devotional practice. So Srila Gurudev is saying, our Gurudev is very great, and therefore from every direction our minds may be rescued and brought to his lotus feet and engaged in his service. Also, it is my own experience that sometimes I may try to do something about which I do not know much, but there is no fault in trying. Rather, I must try, but the result is in the hands of Krishna, Guru, and Vaishnava. My attention is not to be attached to the results. They will see to that. I must only serve. I must try to serve, and I must not forget my duty. This is the main theme of our lives. We have had many births, lakhs and lakhs of births. But somehow we now have this human birth, so we must use this body in the proper way. We have a very high chance, a supreme chance, with this mundane human body. Jai Srila Gurudev ki Jai. Very beautiful, huh? Jai Srila Gurudev ki Jai. So it's a good reminder for us to meditate on these beautiful teachings and apply them into our daily devotional practice. Right, Devananda Prabhu? Okay, so we had already a full morning with the arati, with bhajans, the morning kirtan, and now we're going to finalize with Hari Haraja Nama Krishna. You want to sing Hari Haraja Nama Krishna? Or maybe.
Hari Haraja Nama Krishna, Jaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Srimati Sutam Gopala Govinda Ram Srimati Sutam Giridhari Gopina Madana Giridhari Gopina Madana Shri Caitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chanda Ganga Radha Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Prishipad Paramahamsa Kavirāja Kṛṣṇadāsa Vari Atatara Sati Śrīla. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Gosvami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Prishipad Paramahamsa Kavirāja Kṛṣṇadāsa Vari Atatara Sati Śrīla. Srila Bhakti Rakak Śrīla Dev-Gosvami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Prishipad Paramahamsa Kavirāja Kṛṣṇadāsa Vari Astatara Sati Śrīla. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswatī Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Prishipad Srila Guru Kṛṣṇadāsa Babiji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Prishipad Srila Satchidananda Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Prishipad Srila Jagannath Babiji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rupanuga Guruvaka Ki Jai. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namaskar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Bhadadev Vijayabhusana Ki Jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Narottam Shamananda Srinivasa Acharya Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Kṛṣṇadāsa Kavirāja Ki Jai. Six Gosvāmis of Vrindavan Ki Jai. Sarpashada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Sarpashada Shri Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Swami Govardhan Gopal Ju Ki Jai. Shri Lakshmi Varaha Devi Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Shri Nasingadeva Ki Jai. Bhakti Prabhupada Palab Maharaj Ki Jai. Ganga Jana Maharaj Ki Jai. Grantavaj Sri Madhya-līlā Caitanya-caritāmṛta Ki Jai. Vaishnava Varta Sabha Ki Jai. Akramat Varta Tri Caitanya Ki Jai. Dodiya Sakamat Ki Jai. Tosi Maharani Ki Jai. Tosi Parakama Ki Jai. Ganga Grantavaj Sri Madhya-līlā Caitanya Ki Jai. Vishwa Vaishnava Varta Sabha Ki Jai. Akramat Varta Tri Caitanya Ki Jai. Dodiya Sakamat Ki Jai. Shuddha Mayapur Ki Jai. Shuddha Nabadvik Ki Jai. Vrindavan Purushottam Dham Ki Jai. Bhakti Servitor Jagannath Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Kun Ki Jai. Shri Siddhartha Kavirāja Ki Jai. Servitor Vaishnava Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. All the devotees all over the world Ki Jai.
You know, tune in again tonight for the Friday night Kirtan. Please come in person and join us from 6 o'clock.